Okay, so let's unpack a scenario that you have, well, probably found yourself in at least twice this week.
Oh, I'm sure I have.
Right. You are checking out online, you've got that new pair of running shoes or maybe like a bag of expensive specialty coffee sitting in your cart.
Yeah, getting ready to hit buy.
Exactly.
Right.
You are hovering right over the buy button, and suddenly this pop-up appears in big, bold letters. It says something like, join our rewards program and get 5% back on this purchase.
It really is the ultimate frictionless offer, isn't it? I mean, you are already spending the money, so the promise of getting a percentage of it back just, feels like found money.
Yeah, we see these offers literally all the time. But today, our mission for this deep dive is to look past all that marketing hype. We want to pull back the curtain on the actual underlying economics of e-commerce loyalty programs.
Right, because it's fascinating.
It really is. We are using an incredibly detailed source today on Shopify loyalty economics to figure out what a rewards point really costs a business. Because honestly, the math dictating these programs determines whether they're a genius customer retention strategy or just like a slow, invisible financial drain on the store.
Yeah, and the overarching theme here is that loyalty is not just some standard feature you bolt onto a website.
Right.
It operates on a strict and, frankly, ruthless economic model.
Yeah.
To understand why stores even bother with this stuff, we have to look at the broader landscape of e-commerce today.
Which has changed a lot.
Dramatically.
Yeah.
Acquiring a brand new customer through, say, Facebook or Google Ads is astronomically expensive compared to just a few years ago.
Oh, yeah, the ad costs are wild now.
Exactly. That means a store's existing customer base, the people who have already cleared the hurdle of actually trusting the brand, well, they are their most valuable financial asset. Retaining them isn't just nice to have. I mean, it is the absolute cheapest form of growth.
That makes intuitive sense. You obviously want to keep the people who already like you, but to understand how businesses are using these rewards to keep us around, we first have to look at the actual cost.
Right. The real math.
Yeah, because as a shopper, if I see an offer for 5% back, I naturally assume that costs the store 5% of whatever I just spent.
Sure.
But according to the research we're looking at today, the numbers tell a very, very different story.
They do. The math proves it is something of an illusion, honestly. Let's walk through the mechanics using just a standard hypothetical purchase.
Okay, let's do it.
Imagine a store where the average customer spends, say, $60 per order, and they run a loyalty program offering a 5% reward. So, on that $60 order, issuing a 5% reward means the store is handing out $3 worth of points to the customer.
Okay, $3 in points. That seems pretty straightforward so far.
On the surface, yeah.
Yeah.
But here is the critical variable. Not everyone actually uses the points they earn.
Ah.
We have to factor in the reality of human behavior here. Based on industry averages, we might see a redemption rate of around 60%.
Okay.
That means out of all the points a store issues, only 60% are ever actually applied to a future purchase. So that $3 reward is suddenly only costing the store $1.80 in actual realized payouts.
Wow, that is a massive drop from $3 all the way down to $1.80.
Yeah, but wait, we also have to account for the software overhead. The store isn't, running this on a spreadsheet.
Right, they use a loyalty app.
Exactly. Let's say that app costs $15 a month, and the store processes 300 orders a month. That $15 fee spread over 300 orders adds a mere 5 cents of operational cost to each transaction.
Okay, got it.
So you take the $1.80 in redeemed points, you add the 5-cent software fee, and the true fully loaded cost to the store is only $1.85 per order.
Okay, let me just do the math on that real quick. Cost of $1.85 on a $60 order is just 3.08%. So the headline flashing at me during checkout says I'm getting 5%, but the reality of the balance sheet is that the store is only spending barely over 3%.
That's right.
That remaining $1.20 of the original reward just, vanishes?
It does. And the industry term for that vanished value is breakage. It refers to the points that are unredeemed.
Breakage, like unused gift cards or abandoned gym membership.
Exactly the same concept. They just sit in customer accounts until they expire or are forgotten entirely. And the sheer scale of breakage is just staggering.
How much are we talking?
Well, our source cites the Antabo 2026 report, which is this massive piece of research. They surveyed 3,000 marketers. They utilized a 10,000-member consumer panel, and they tracked over 500 million loyalty actions.
Oh, wow. That's a huge data set.
It's massive. And they found that in 2025 alone, 27% of all points earned went completely unspent.
27%.
Yeah, and another 12% expired outright.
So nearly 40% of the value just evaporating. That brings up a huge question about behavioral psychology, honestly. Why do we go through the trouble of signing up for a program, earning the points, and then just abandoning them? I mean, it seems completely irrational.
It does, but it really comes down to cognitive load and friction. Think about the process of redeeming points on most e-commerce sites.
Usually pretty annoying.
It is. First, you have to remember you even have the points in the first place, which is hard enough given our overflowing email inboxes. Then you have to log into your account, navigate to a totally separate rewards page, click a button to convert your points into a specific discount code.
Oh, right, and then copy the code.
Exactly. Go back to your cart and paste that code into a promo box. For a lot of shoppers, saving $2 just isn't worth that mental friction.
I have absolutely been guilty of that. You get to checkout, you realize you have to, reset your password to claim a $3 discount, and you just decide to pay full price.
We all do it.
But looking at this from the business side, this creates a really strange dynamic. I mean, the accounting behind this must be incredibly complex. How does a company financially plan for millions of points that might or might not ever be used?
Well, they rely on standard accounting principles. There's a specific rule known as ASC 606.
ASC 606.
Yeah. When a business issues you a point, they can't just ignore it. It represents an unexercised customer right. So on their balance sheet, it is technically a liability. It's a deferred cost that they might have to pay out in the future.
Wait, so they have to actually hold money in reserve, assuming every single point might be redeemed?
Not exactly, no. And this is where the mechanism of breakage becomes so crucial. Actuaries and accountants, they know historically what percentage of points will never be claimed.
Right, because of all that data.
Exactly. So under ASC 606, they don't have to pretend 100% of the points will be spent. They are actually allowed to recognize that expected breakage, the points they know you will forget to use as revenue.
Okay, I have to pause on that. They are legally allowed to count the points we abandon as revenue.
Yep.
That feels a bit cynical, doesn't it? I mean, you could argue the whole system is built on the assumption that the checkout process is just too annoying for people to navigate. It's almost like they are promising value while quietly betting against the customer's ability to actually claim it.
You can certainly look that way. I get that.
Yeah.
But from a corporate finance perspective, it is simply survival.
How so?
You must model your loyalty program's cost on redeemed points, not issued ones. If a store budgeted its margins under the assumption that every single point issued would be spent, the program would look so unprofitable on paper that no CFO would ever approve it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, modeling for breakage is basically what allows these programs to exist in the first place.
Okay, well, let's follow the logic of that 3.08% actual cost we talked about.
Sure.
If the math dictates that the store is only really paying out about 3% per order, it raises a pretty obvious structural question.
Because
Why go through all of this complexity? You have apps, you have deferred liability accounting, you have customer support tickets about lost passwords. Why not just bypass all of that and offer a flat 3% discount to anyone who visits the site?
the answer lies in who actually receives that margin. A flat discount is, well, it's a blunt instrument. It applies to every single transaction.
Right. Anyone gets it.
Exactly. That includes the shopper who just happens to click an Instagram ad, buys one item on sale using your 3% discount, and vanishes forever. You just surrendered 3% of your profit margin to someone who will never return.
Ah, okay.
A loyalty program, on the other hand, is a precision tool. It ensures that you are concentrating your promotional dollars strictly on people who make repeat purchases.
I see. It is kind of the difference between throwing a giant expensive net into the ocean and catching a lot of fish you don't even want versus using like a targeted spear to only hit the specific customers who actually keep your business afloat.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. And the data highlights just how vital that targeted approach is. Smile.io analyzed 585 million e-commerce orders, and they found that on average, 35% of an e-commerce store's revenue comes from just the top 5% of their customers.
35% from just the top 5%.
Yeah, that top 5% is the absolute lifeblood of the business. You don't want to dilute your promotional budget by spreading it across one-time buyers.
Yeah.
You want to funnel it directly into that top tier.
Okay, so let's talk about the break-even math on funneling that money because our source outlines the margins quite clearly here. In our $60 order example, the real cost of funding the loyalty program was $1.85.
Right.
The research shows that if a store is operating with a 55% profit margin, they can cover that $1.85 cost as soon as the loyalty program generates a 5.6% lift in repeat customer revenue.
Exactly. And the mechanics of that margin dictate the whole strategy. At a 55% profit margin, only 55 cents of every additional dollar a customer spends actually goes to the bottom line to pay down the cost of the rewards.
Right.
So a 5.6% uplift in returning revenue is the exact threshold where the program literally pays for itself.
You know, if you read the marketing materials from the companies that build these loyalty apps, they make it sound like hitting a 5.6% lift is effortless.
Oh, totally.
Our source mentions a prominent study from GrowWave claiming that loyalty members who redeem rewards make 2.5 times as many repeat purchases, and they spend 23% more per order compared to non-members.
Yeah, those statistics are basically the cornerstone of almost every vendor's sales pitch.
I have to say, I am extremely skeptical of those numbers, though.
Really? Why is that?
Well, if we think about human behavior, aren't the people who bothered to jump through the hoops to redeem points already a brand's biggest fans? Like, if someone loves a coffee roaster enough to buy from them every single month, they are obviously going to redeem the points. But the vendor is claiming the points caused the loyalty.
Ah, I see where you're going.
Isn't it just as likely that highly loyal people simply enjoy claiming points?
You are hitting on the fundamental flaw in how these programs are marketed. It is the classic trap of conflating correlation with causation.
Right.
Yes, the data shows that redeemers spend more. But there is a very, very strong argument that those customers were going to spend that money regardless of the points. The software vendors are effectively grading their own homework when they publish these case studies.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, really. They take credit for the behavior of your best customers.
Exactly, which is why our source gives a very clear directive to business owners. Ignore the vendor's promise of a massive ROI multiple. Do not build your financial model around a case study.
So what should they do instead?
You have to use that 5.6% break-even lifts or whatever number your specific profit margin dictates as a rigid internal benchmark. You measure your returning customer revenue before you install the app, launch the program, and then track whether the isolated lift clears your specific hurdle.
That brings up the operational side of all this. We have established the strategy and the math, but how is this targeted spear actually forged?
The tech side of it.
Yeah, a lot of people operating in the e-commerce space naturally assume that a massive platform like Shopify, which powers a huge percentage of the internet's independent stores, has a native built-in points engine to handle all of this.
It is an incredibly common assumption, especially given how critical retention is to e-commerce.
Right.
But the reality of Shopify's architecture is quite different. They've actively chosen not to build a native loyalty engine.
I find that architectural choice really fascinating. If retention is the most important metric for their merchants, why outsource the tool that manages it?
It really comes down to flexibility and platform bloat. Shopify serves millions of merchants. The loyalty needs of a merchant selling, say, bespoke, handcrafted furniture are fundamentally different from a company selling a daily vitamin subscription.
Okay, that makes sense.
If Shopify built a one-size-fits-all loyalty engine, it would likely be way too complex for the small stores and at the same time too restrictive for the enterprise brands. So instead, Shopify just provides the plumbing and they let third-party developers build the fixtures.
Okay, let's break down that plumbing. How does a third-party app actually talk to a Shopify store to track a customer's points?
It relies on a piece of architecture called the Customer Account API and something called metafields.
Metafields.
Yeah, think of a metafield as a hidden data tag attached to your profile. When you earn enough points, the third-party app uses the API to update your metafield to say, gold tier member.
Okay, I follow it.
Because that tag is stored in Shopify's central plumbing, it works everywhere. The online store reads it and shows you a special price, and if you walk into a physical retail location using a Shopify point-of-sale system, the cashier scans your email, and the system instantly recognizes that same gold tier tag.
So Shopify just built the underlying pipes to hold the data, and there is a massive ecosystem of third-party developers competing to build the best interface.
Massive ecosystem is an understatement. As of July 2026, A search of the Shopify App Store yields 372 different loyalty apps.
372. And deciphering the pricing models of those apps requires a spreadsheet of its own, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
Based on our source, almost all of them base their pricing on your monthly order volume. The major players like Smile, Revo, and BAN, they generally offer a free tier, but it only covers a very small store, usually up to 150 or 200 orders a month. The moment you cross that line, paid plans typically start around $15. But then you have outliers like Yotpo, which is free under 100 orders, but then immediately jumps to $199 a month.
A leap like that is very strategic. Yopo isn't trying to capture the casual mid-market store with that pricing. They are targeting brands that are already deeply embedded in their other enterprise products, like Yopo Reviews or their SMS marketing tools.
So it's part of a larger bundle.
Exactly, where a unified data ecosystem justifies that $199 price tag.
The thing that really stood out to me in the fine print, though, were the overage fees.
Oh, yeah. Those can get you.
Let's look at Smile, for example.
Yeah.
If you are on a capped plan and you exceed your order limit, they charge $20 for every extra 100 orders. Imagine you are a small brand, you go viral on TikTok, or you have a massive Black Friday weekend, your order volume spikes tenfold.
It happens all the time.
Those hidden overage fees could completely devour your margins precisely at the moment you think you are finally succeeding.
It really highlights a critical error many merchants make. When evaluating these apps, you cannot size your plan based on your average month. You have to size it based on your peak promotional month, or those overages will heavily penalize your growth.
That's a great tip.
You also want to look for apps carrying the Built for Shopify badge, which is Shopify's way of verifying that the app won't slow down your checkout speed.
Good to know. Before we move on from the Shopify ecosystem, we have to address a major point of confusion for shoppers and merchants alike, and that's Shop Cash.
Ah, yes. ShopCash.
If you check out on a Shopify store, you often see a prompt to use Shop Cash. I think a lot of consumers assume that is the individual store's loyalty program.
The interface makes it incredibly easy to conflate the two, honestly, but strategically, they are entirely different beasts. ShopCash is a currency funded entirely by Shopify, not the individual merchant.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It is currently available only to shoppers in the US and Canada, and eligible merchants are actually required to accept it.
So if Shopify is paying for it, what is the downside for the merchant? It sounds like free money.
It comes back to who the customer is actually building a relationship with. When a customer uses a third-party app like Smile or Revo, they are building loyalty exclusively with your brand.
Because the points only work there.
Exactly. They have to return to your specific website to spend those points. Shop Cash, however, builds loyalty to the Shop app network. A customer might earn Shop Cash buying coffee from your store, but they can take that currency and spend it on a completely different store within the Shop app ecosystem.
Oh, wow.
It incentivizes platform loyalty over brand loyalty.
That is a crucial distinction. It really underscores why a brand needs its own closed-loop system. But our source material delivers a pretty significant plot twist here.
It does.
We spent all this time outlining the math, the strategy, and the technology required to build a loyalty program. But the research explicitly states that for a huge segment of businesses, a points program is a terrible idea that will actively damage their bottom line.
It is a tool, and like any tool, if you misapply it to the wrong business model, it becomes a major liability.
The source outlines some very clear red flags indicating when a brand should just walk away from loyalty points entirely. The first is infrequent purchase behavior.
Right.
Like if you sell high-end dining tables, people might buy from you once every 10 years. Earning a few points on a table does absolutely nothing to change their behavior because they simply won't need another table for a decade.
Same goes for something like a mattress.
Exactly. If they already bought the mattress, points won't magically bring them back.
You also cannot deploy a retention strategy if you haven't acquired an audience yet. Brand new stores often launch with a complex loyalty program on day one, not realizing that you cannot incentivize repeat purchases from a customer base that basically doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, that makes sense. But the most unforgiving metric is definitely profit margin.
It really is.
The margin math we discussed earlier is absolutely brutal for discount brands. Let's revisit that $1.85 reward cost. Earlier, we established that a store with a healthy 55% margin only needed a 5.6% lift in repeat revenue to break even.
Right.
But if a store operates on a razor-thin 20% margin, covering that exact same $1.85 cost, suddenly requires a massive 15% lift in repeat revenue.
And realistically, very few loyalty programs in the world are capable of generating a sustained 15% lift in revenue.
But it's just too high of a bar.
Way too high. When your margins are that thin, you don't have the financial padding to absorb the cost of the software and the breakage.
Yeah.
Points simply become a slow leak in the whole of your business.
So if a business realizes they are operating with thin margins or infrequent purchases, what is the alternative? Do they just accept that they can't incentivize their customers at all?
Not at all. It just means they need to pull a different lever. If you sell a replenishable product but you have thin margins, a direct subscription model is often vastly superior to points.
Just a straight subscription.
Yeah, offering a straightforward 10% discount in exchange for locking in an auto shipment secures the repeat revenue without all the overhead of a points ledger. But the other major alternative is shifting your focus entirely from retention to acquisition.
Which brings us to referral programs.
Exactly.
Let's clearly define the difference here, because loyalty and referrals are almost always lumped together in a single dashboard, which kind of blurs their distinct functions.
They are very different.
Loyalty is strictly for retention. You are rewarding a customer for their own repeat purchases. A referral program is an acquisition channel. You are financially incentivizing your current customer to act as a salesperson and bring you a brand new buyer.
It is basically leveraging your existing audience to lower your customer acquisition cost.
And the data on the quality of referred customers is just incredible. Our source highlights a peer-reviewed study from 2011 conducted by Schmidt, Skira, and Vanden Bolt at a major bank. They tracked 10,000 customer accounts over a period of 33 months.
That study is considered a gold standard in the industry, precisely because the researchers published their full methodology, which is honestly something the software vendors typically refuse to do.
The findings completely validate the referral model. They discovered that customers acquired through a warm introduction from a friend had a 25% higher contribution margin and a 16% higher overall lifetime value compared to customers acquired through traditional marketing.
That's a huge difference.
It is. And the ROI on the reward paid out for the referral was around 60% over a 6-year period.
The psychology behind that is fascinating to me. When a friend recommends a product, it carries a level of social proof and inherent trust that a Facebook ad simply cannot replicate.
Yeah, I'm way more likely to buy something a friend tells me about.
Right. The referred customer enters the relationship already primed to like the brand, which explains that higher lifetime value. For many e-commerce stores, especially those struggling with the math of a point system, aggressively funding a referral program is just a much more efficient use of capital.
We have covered a tremendous amount of ground today, navigating the hidden mechanics of e-commerce. From the psychology of breakage and the complexities of deferred liability accounting, to the architecture of the Shopify app ecosystem, and the undeniable power of a warm referral.
We really went deep.
We did. But if we distill all of this source material down to a single golden rule for business owners, it would be this: chase redemptions, not signups.
That is the ultimate metric. A customer who signs up for your rewards tier but never successfully redeems a point has not fundamentally altered their shopping behavior. And if a program isn't changing behavior, well, it's just decorative math.
To you listening right now, whether you are an entrepreneur trying to architect a profitable retention strategy, or just a shopper weighing whether it is worth resetting your password to claim a 5% discount at checkout, you now understand the invisible architecture at play. You know why breakage is budgeted as revenue. You know the strategic difference between shop cash and true brand loyalty. You see the mechanics guiding every transaction.
You really are looking at the matrix of modern e-commerce now. But there is a broader societal question hidden in this data that I want to leave you with.
Let's hear it.
As the algorithms driving our everyday purchases become increasingly gamified, as buying coffee or a pair of sneakers is transformed into a quest for digital points, VIP tiers, and unlocking rewards, we have to ask ourselves something. Are we actually developing true loyalty to the products and the craftsmanship of these brands? Or have we simply become addicted to the psychology of the game they have built around us?
Wow, that is a profound question. Are we buying the product, or are we just playing the game? That perspective is definitely going to stick with me the next time a checkout screen offers me double points. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We will catch you next time.